Hello, my name is Sam Ball. I'm from Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I'm currently an admissions counselor here at Oklahoma State University. So I chose to study Japanese because growing up here in Stillwater, our town had a sister city with Kamioka, Japan, and from that early age I was exposed to the culture and developed an interest. And as I grew older, I started to do martial arts, get into Japanese films and customs, and really from that early exposure is kind of what got me to study the language when I got to the university. I just wanted to get out and experience the country. The best thing about learning Japanese for me was that it really opened a whole new world to me. I'd always been interested in learning Japanese and understanding more about the culture. And it was really through the language and getting over there that I was able to understand the culture more in depth, get out to see places I'd always dreamed about going, and to make friends across the world. And that's why Japanese to me was something that I really was interested in learning. I think the most challenging part for me about learning Japanese initially was just the difference in grammar and the sheer amount of characters and alphabets you have to learn. I think that for a lot of students, when you're dealing with 90 or more basic characters and all the 2,000 or so kanji to read a newspaper, I think it's a little bit overwhelming at first. And just how you structure your thoughts and sentences is very different. But to overcome that while I was a student, I really practiced what I learned in the classroom with the students. I asked the teacher lots of questions, and then with the exchange students here on campus, I tried my best to use what I learned and just try to get corrected if I made mistakes. When I went to Shinshu University to study abroad, being surrounded by Japanese and being able to use it every day outside the classroom, really taking what I learned in the classroom every day, going out, using it, making mistakes, and not being embarrassed to make mistakes, that's really what made me grow in the language. I mean, it was challenging at first, but if you're going to grow in a language, you're going to make mistakes, but by practicing with people you know, asking questions, that's how you get better. I think that studying Japanese really changed my perspective of Japan and Japanese people in general. I think so much of language and culture are tied together that it's really through understanding the language that you can start to unlock the culture and find out more about it. And I think that by being there, learning why certain things are done the way they are, understanding why you have certain levels of politeness that you have to use, I think that makes you understand and appreciate the culture more, and I think that's really what changed my thoughts on everything. I work in higher ed, so at a university, but my job focuses mostly with high school students. So in my daily work, I don't get to use Japanese very often. Occasionally I'll meet students that have an interest in it, who in the past have written actually messages to me in Japanese, but in a daily basis I don't get to use the skills I learned very much. So even though I've been out of school now for about 5 years, I still try to practice Japanese as much as I can at home. I mean, in my free time. I've got materials for advanced kanji study, grammar study, and reading material. But at home as well, my wife actually is from South Korea, and she has the highest level of proficiency that you can get on the JLPT, the N1. So at home, we use Japanese on the weekends we can to just practice and speak. And then also with understanding Japanese, I was able to pick up Korean as well. So we alternate between Korean Monday, Wednesday, Friday, English Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then like I said, we speak Japanese on the weekend just to make sure that we're keeping up with our skills. I'd really like to encourage students that are studying Japanese or thinking about it to continue to study it and learn more about the culture and language. I think for the longest time, when you look at history, the Western world has had a deep fascination with Japan and the Far East, and I think that through the language study, you can get over there to the country, you're able to experience something very different than what we've grown up knowing here in the United States. I mean, you're going to see shrines and temples, beautiful handcrafted things, temples and buildings that have been around for hundreds of years, festivals that are unique and interesting, and I think being exposed to a lifestyle very different than your own, learning to speak in a language that's not your own, I really think it opens your eyes to understanding more about the culture and really understanding about your own culture in the process. So if people are interested in studying Japanese or thinking about it, I really encourage you to get out and do that, and then hopefully at some point get out and study abroad as well. I think the best advice I can give to students that are taking Japanese right now is don't let it really intimidate you at the beginning. There's a lot of material to learn. It's very different than what you've grown up speaking and knowing, but I think that by making mistakes, asking lots of questions, staying dedicated to practice and getting better at what you already know, always trying to improve, that eventually the language will start to get easier and easier, and through that language skill that you're going to pick up, you're going to be able to make friends, you'll be able to eventually hopefully travel to Japan, get to use what you've learned, and I think it'll give you a better appreciation of the world and a far much deeper understanding of Japanese culture and society.